Good evening, all. My name is Lilian Abirika. This space is on female online harassment and abuse. The question is this a cause for concern? And the aim of this is to find out whether or not, how to do this right, basically, to talk about how, whether anybody has experienced it, what form does this take, that can someone who has been harassed, scarred by this seek help? How can they seek help? So in this particular space, we have Omotoyosi Idris, who's from Western Regional Community. She's the manager of SustyVibes. Amaka Okafor cannot join us today. She's a bit under the weather. She's a senior reporter at Premium Times Nigeria. And Olusegun Oduduwa, a psychologist, as well as Michelle Obaedo. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name well. A software QA and test engineer and human manager limited. We'll also have Isoken, a communications officer, Women at Risk International Foundation. You'll notice I didn't call her last name because I believe when in doubt, leave out. I don't know how to pronounce it. So I welcome you all to the space. And after the speakers are done speaking, there's also going to be time for the listeners to share input. So I welcome you all. Once again, welcome everybody to this space. And like I said, this space is on female online harassment and abuse, a cause for concern. This is an offshoot of the International Women's Day, which of course happened earlier. It happened in March. And of course, I believe that this is supposed to be like a month-long event. I'm sorry to the guys. Well, it's a month-long event. Women are celebrated because after International Women's Day, we have the Mother's Day. So, of course, it's just Mother's Day for like 3 Sundays now. So it's a month-long event. And before March ended, we decided to just have this space. And like I said, we have some speakers here with us. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your names properly. I apologize. But first of all, like I said, my name is Lilian Abirika. I work with Africa Tech Radio. We have Isoken, she's a communications officer, Women at Risk International Foundation. Omotoyosi Idris, Western Regional Community Manager, SustyVibes. Olusegun Oduduwa, psychologist, and Michelle Obaedo. She's software QA and test engineer, Human Manager Limited. Now, to begin, first of all, what does it mean to be harassed online? Have you experienced it?
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Isoke and my surname is pronounced Enehikhuere.
Okay.
Um, I work as the communications officer for Women at Risk International Foundation World. Answer your question, what does it mean to be harassed? I personally have not had a one-on-one encounter, personal experience online, but the UN Women Statistics says 1 in 3 women would have faced some form of sexual violence before she turns the age of 18. So to answer your question, online harassment is basically any act of gender-based violence against women that is committed, or targeted at demeaning someone persona. And it could basically take any form. It could be through social media, through Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, using our smartphones. Basically, on Twitter, we call them keypad warriors, and, basically just to demeanor someone's persona, and usually targeted at women and young adults. So that's a summarization of what online violence is.
Have you ever experienced it?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I've never had a personal encounter where someone, tweets at me or sends a DM, to say, oh, this is this, or I've never been harassed online. So I really can't share. But I've heard of stories where women and young girls have been, they've been sent funny pictures, they've been tweeted at in some very, degrading manner and all of that. So and it's really sad because a whole lot of times these people that commit these atrocities forget that the internet doesn't forget. So for every time you send out that information, for every time you send out that message, that tweet, there's an archive somewhere where it's stored. And we've seen cases where, or rather I've heard of cases where, you get a very good job and then they want to run a profile on you. They go to your social media and they see a funny tweet or a funny, comment that you posted at some time that you yourself had even forgotten that you put it online. So basically, the internet is an eye opener where you have to be careful what you put online, because you never really know what, where life can spin you around and to get. So basically, yes, these are the after effects of putting out things that we tend to forget that can come biting us in the butt later.
Hi, Lilian. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
I'd like to share a personal experience as to online GBB, because it's really about the things that you can say to someone offline. You're just also saying it online. So for me, I've had a personal experience where I will post, I think it's some time ago on my status and all, and there's this guy who just be like, "Oh, your breast is getting bigger," and it it's a joke to him, but that's a form of harassment, and I have personally experienced that, and I have my friends even when they post to the focus is on, oh, look at your bum bum, look at your, or somebody, I know someone also who is scared of posting because somebody is always there to comment or stalk her to know what's going on in her life. So these are just like some personal experiences around me and for me as well.
All right, thank you, Omotoyosi. I wouldn't say I have not experienced it myself. I have. Almost every lady should have experienced this. I can't speak for all of them. Samuel, do you have anything to say on this? Okay, I guess not. So let's just move over to the next one. So I want to talk to you, Omotoyosi, right now. You said you have, been at the other side of this before. A lady will post a picture on social media, and the next thing you're saying is, in fact, what I've heard and what I have seen. Before, I used to just let it go, but at the point I start taking the comments off, or if it's on Facebook, I'll just hide the comments because I don't want any other person to see that comment and think that this is an avenue for them to start, a conversation around my body or whatever it is that they are saying. So what that experience that you had, what effect did it have on you?
Okay, for me, how would I put it? I didn't like that someone was making reference to my body. There was other thing we could talk about, and it didn't make sense to me that that would be the basis of our conversation. Hey, your breast is getting bigger. So it's the next thing for me to be, oh, don't mind, leave my breast, or So for me, it just felt disrespectful. I felt disrespected, and I felt like, what is this person going in for? What do they want? And I think I stopped talking to that person. Up to date, we don't talk because that's not the kind of friendship I want, and it's not what it is for me. So I felt bad that this is how people view people, and you can't even have a straight conversation without talking about people's body or sexualizing them.
I agree with you. And now this question is to all the speakers. How can someone who has been harassed or has been scarred by harassment online, how can they seek help? I think the psychologist Oduduwa, Olusegun will be, please speak on this. Will be the best to speak on this.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, everybody. Talking about cyber harassment, particularly against women, it's a very serious situation. And just because someone says something over the keyboard and not to your face directly doesn't mean that it doesn't really matter. It has a huge impact on people, particularly every online abuse on somebody has an offline consequence. So it might be an abuse online, but the consequences is always offline because you feel it directly, and it can have a serious effect on your well-being and your emotional stability. So a lot of women who have gone through cyber harassment or cyber violence, whatever way you want to call it, has gone through. A lot of them have even entered into depression, due to purposeful embarrassment, offensive name calling, stalking, sexual harassment, whatever it comes in different forms, and at the end of the day, it leads to a lot of women having low self-esteem, low loss of confidence, emotional distress. In fact, sometimes they have a bit of apprehension using social media, Sometimes the effect is as bad as having insomnia, whereby you have sleep difficulties or lack of focus. So it's a very big deal, and it's important that we begin to talk about it and begin to look at steps and ways that we can begin to put an end to such an harassment on women particularly.
Thank you very much, Olusegun, for that. Is there any other thing any other person wants to add?
Okay. Hi, Lilian. Yeah, I think the question was, what can someone do to stop it?
Yes, those who have already been harassed online, how can they seek help?
I think they can talk to a psychologist to start with, a trusted person. I mean, not everybody can afford therapy, but you can start with your cycle, somebody you trust, somebody you can confide in how you're feeling. And you can also speak up, because a lot of the time we're also afraid to talk about these things because we're scared of how people will perceive us, because we're saying we've been harassed, we've been abused. So I think we need to move past that victim blaming, and also supporting people when we hear that this is happening to them, and support them when they speak up.
All right. I'm curious as to whether online harassment, cyberbullying, is something that is done consciously, or people just do it unconsciously.
I
Okay.
To speak to that, I'm of the opinion that we are all conscious human beings, except we have a few exception of people that we have some unstable, mentally unstable people that do things erratically. So I don't think anybody in a sane mind just abuse or feel that, oh, let me just send out this thing to harass people. Yes, maybe we have people that just want to. That's why we call them bullies, anyways, because they feel that, oh, I can't, talk to this person physically one on one and say this to this person. So how about I put it there to just, torment? And they forget that these are real human beings that they are sending out this tweet to. They are sending out these messages to, and all of that. So I'm of the opinion that people intentionally do these things, like they target their victims. So for example, maybe a guy is trying to get a girl's attention. He's been doing all that he can, and then he's not getting the attention that he so desires, or he feels, okay, let me just disturb this girl, let me start sending her these funny pictures, or let me start doing something, and then he believes that that's an avenue to get that attention that he wants. Like I said earlier, I've not had any personal encounter of people sending me these funny pictures or sending me these funny messages, because first things first, I don't even give room to that. If I see that you're that kind of person that all you do is post funny stuff and then things that are targeted at women, I'll block you, because energy is contagious. I try to, keep that energy on. I don't want anything to affect my mental health. So I wouldn't want to wait for you to, start having that conversation with you before because as women, we are intuitive. We can tell these things. Sometimes it's just that, we just feel, okay, let's see. Let it not be that my mind is playing games. But in cases where we're sure that, oh, okay, this is what this person is trying to do, or this is what this person is driving at, it's always best to block all of that energy. So people consciously know what they're doing. They consciously send out these messages. I might be wrong, but I'm of that opinion that people do these things intentionally.
All right, thank you. Any other opinion on this?
I also agree that it's intentional, because you have to go through that process of picking up your phone to target somebody. So, for example, you have stalking. You want to know where this person is, and like was said by Olusegun, is an offshoot. Online violence is an offshoot of online offline violence, because you are stalking somebody. You want to know where they are, and you want to say that it's nothing, but before you know it, you're at Ikeja. This person is at Ikeja. Hi, how did you know where I was? That's stalking. It's stalking with an intent, and it's even punishable under the VAP law. That's for that. And then you have another type, which is like revenge porn. That's also a deliberate attempt to say somebody is frustrated due to a relationship that is not working, and they want to blackmail their partner with their sex tape and whatever intimacy they've shared with other people online, or even sending it to their partner to say, if you don't pay me this, I will post this out. So these are all deliberate attempts to hurt somebody, to make them feel less of themselves, to run them into all of the psychological problems that can come out of it.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I would like to add to what the two speakers have said, and I also agree with them because it's online abuse is very intentional. People do it on purpose, and majorly, if you do a statistics of how many the kind of category of people who do it, you'll find out that there are people who are even close to you, or they are friends with you one way or the other, whether close allies or just friends on the surface. These are people who know you. So whatever they are doing is they know about it. It's very intentional for them, and it's not as if it just happens just unintentionally. They actually know what they are doing, and they do it on purpose. It's only a very few people that just randomly, probably just exhibit these behaviors just randomly. But if you look at the statistics, the higher number is about people who have a close relationship with you to an extent, and they know you are friends, and they just want to pass on something, probably either just like Omotoyosi has said, that whether the person is just stalking you, or maybe is trying to get your attention and you're not giving in, and it just begins to do some crazy things online and just try to bully you online.
sorry, you want to say something? That is Michelle.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Yeah, my name is Michelle, and I'm a software engineer with Manager Ltd. So, just to add about just to contribute, online
Babe.
harassment could also be in the form of body shaming. Yeah, people could post pictures on their social media, their Instagram, their Twitter, anywhere, and people just come and make really not nice comments on them, like saying, oh, you're too skinny, or you're too fat, or you need to lose weight, or as the other speaker said, start making very funny comments about parts of your body. And sometimes it can actually make the individual, the victim affected, go into depression or feeling bad about the person's self. Or yeah, you could also be feeling bad about your body, or thinking maybe you might want to increase your booby size or increase your butt size. And that's one of the reasons why people actually go for this butt enlargement, because they're not actually comfortable in their body, or maybe they've been harassed with comments about their body size, so they feel trying to add some parts of their body is going to make them look beautiful or look more attractive, which sometimes could actually have a psychological effect on them.
Okay, this just goes to highlight what Olusegun said about online abuses having offline consequences, because you see a rise in people wanting to alter their bodies just because of the things that the comments I've read online. Moving offline, I'm sure many of us, male or female, would have experienced this. You meet somebody you have not seen in a while, and the person is saying, "Hi, you don't dey slim, oh, you don't dey fat, oh, you're skinny." And I'm saying these things are not greetings. What happened to how are you doing? You know,
Yeah.
people take
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah, I personally have been a victim of all of that. So I'm not really on the big side, and most times people tell you, "Oh, well, when are you? Don't you want to add weight, or you've not added weight? You just hear very very funny comments. Don't you want to get fat?" Or sometimes I go to the gym and I probably post videos on my WhatsApp status, and you hear comments like, "What are you doing in the gym?" And sometimes I go the extra mile to educate some of them that going to the gym is not about, people have different purposes for going to the gym. So it's not about trying to lose weight or trying to add weight. People also go to the gym to keep fit. The fact that you're really on the big side doesn't make you healthy. I'm not big, but I'm sure that I know a lot of people that I'm actually healthier than, despite them being on the big side. So before, I kind of used to feel offended when I hear such comments, but now I don't think, some of the times I just ignore. I don't even answer the person, or I just, on a lighter note, just look for a way to, if you tell me, oh, you're really skinny, or when do you want to add weight? And if the person is on the big side, you hear me asking the person, oh, do you have plans of losing weight? So we just go like that and die down the issue. But some people that wouldn't really know how to handle the situation will probably be feeling bad about their body size and trying to do things that you're not supposed to do, just to make them look more acceptable to the society?
Thank you
Yes,
so
to
much.
add to that, I was going to say that I think this idea of you not, seeing, you haven't seen someone in a while, and then you see the person, and the next thing is you feel entitled to comment, to say the person looks a particular size, or the person looks shorter or darker. It's becoming an African norm, because even with our mothers, they haven't seen their fellow mother's child in a long time, and then the next thing is passing on comments, because this has, there's this saying that when you let things happen over a period of time, it tends to feel as though it's the right thing, or it's the normal thing, to do. So even years after, from moving from one generation to another, mothers see children, and then the next thing they feel is, oh, are you okay? Why do you look so skinny? Why do you look so fat? Is everything going on well? Not even caring the mental state, or the health state. It could be the person is trying to lose weight to, to remain healthy. But, because the culture has seen it as, oh, people now even shove it off. They don't see it as something that should be addressed. It's almost as though it's normal. And then, because of the human feelings that are attached to this comment, people tend to cringe to say, oh, and then they become worrisome. Is the next thing you know, you're asking your friend, is it true that I look fat? Is it true that I'm losing weight? They become worried as to their state of mind, and then and which affects their physical being long run. So it's just a whole lot of cultural thing also going on in that aspect as well.
So when this, just mentioned as a cultural thing, right? So when one takes this attitude, this thing that they think that is a normal thing, and they take it online, they start, and this is not just, it doesn't just end at commenting on one's body, it's commenting on, you never marry, when you go born pikin. All these things are the comments that people ask offline, and they don't see it as anything. They just feel like, okay, this is another greeting. So if one takes this offline and take it online rather, would you say that it is an unconscious thing, that they didn't mean any harm, but maybe they're not just informed or something?
It's not like I said, like we all mentioned, like all the speakers mentioned earlier, people do not just, I don't think anybody just wants to sit down and say, you know what, today, oh, I'm just going to be by myself. People intentionally plan things. You have people that catfish people. They just go on the internet and say, you know what, let's look for our next target, our next victim, to cause harm. There's a process, and all of this starts from the mind. It's conceived in your mind, and then from your mind it boils down to the action, and then the process, and then the execution. You understand? My point is, in the aspect of commenting on people's body sizes and shape being a cultural thing, you will agree with me that in this part of the world, patriarchy is a whole lot on another level. If we're going to have to start talking about patriarchy, we'll probably need another session, because in this part of the world, we are women are structured in such a way that it seems as though they live for men. If you look a certain size, you can't look this size, or you're not married yet, you won't get somebody to marry you. If you look a funny way, if you have not achieved certain things, they feel, oh, nobody will marry you. Or everything a woman does, especially in this part of the world, is amplified to look as if she has to live her entire life to please men. Apologies to the men on board, this is just basically bringing out the issues. So it's a whole lot of deep dive. It just even cuts across, just, online, offline. It's something that is been happening over the years, and it's, when you don't correct what people see as right, it continues, because everybody thinks it's right. So that 1% of person that would come up to say, you know what, this is not right, this shouldn't be done, the person is blacklisted to not, be in that category of women that do certain things. Basically, I'm just trying to, use
Yeah.
like very easy words. So basically, patriarchy has taken so deep root, it's so deep rooted that everything you're supposed to be dressed a certain way to attract a certain kind of a certain kind of guy. You're supposed to speak a certain way. You're supposed to have a certain look. So patriarchy has taken the order of the day. So men,
Right.
women are all they're built. You literally, even as girls, as young girls in the house, you say, oh, there are certain things a girl can do, and there are certain things a boy can do. A girl should not be doing what a boy can do. A boy should not be doing what a girl can do. So these are the issues, even boils down to our parents as well.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. And now this is for every one. You know, there's some things that one would do, and you see some comments that you are the one that caused it. You're the one who attracted this to yourself. So, is there anything anybody might be doing that might be enabling it unconsciously?
What you just
Okay.
mentioned about what can you do to stop it. So the moment, the moment we start looking for what a fault in a victim, I was saying that maybe you shouldn't have dressed like that, you shouldn't have gone there. Why do you even have a phone in the first place? We're already starting that victim blaming culture. We're already promoting the harassment culture. We're promoting rape culture, and we just need to divert our attention to what can we do to even prevent it and protect people. And that comes in the sense that a lot of the times when we see all of these obscene tweets and comments and posts about other people, we tend to share. So now it's not a matter of how did that post get there in the first place. It's about the actions of every other person that are propagating it, and that falls back on the people that are sharing this comment, that are also adding their comment to ask this question, to say, why were you there? What are you doing there? Or why did you post this? So I feel like, even though I understand your question, I just feel like if we want to address this question from that angle, we will be promoting victim blaming. But on a personal level, a preventive cause will be that control the kind of friends you have. Some people have their account private. They don't want any other person in their space. That's one way. That's a preventive measure. And another way would be to have two-way authentication for your phone, so nobody can even hack your phone and have access to whatever it is you feel is personal for you in your own personal devices. So that's what I have to say.
All right. The reason for that question is to, everybody has opinions, right? And these issues have been raised before, and you hear people say, this is what this person did that caused it. So now I want us to discuss it. So everything is up for discussion. So I will go home with something, better. Olusegun, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to add something to that. That when a victim, somebody is being harassed online, and people now blame the person that, oh, why did you post this? Why did you put this on the internet? And we need to understand one thing, that the internet ordinarily is supposed to be a safe space where you can express yourself the way you want to. But unfortunately, online platforms are increasingly misused as tools of abuse, harassment, and exploitation, which goes back to what the WARIF representative is said earlier, talking about culture. It is in this part of the world that we begin to see certain things as unacceptable. Somebody tries to express herself by posting a picture of herself, but because of our culture mentality, you begin to look at it that, oh, why would you post this online? It is wrong. You understand? And it takes me to what is called misogynist. There are some people who have that misogynist ideology. Misogyny is having a bit of prejudice against women, where people begin to see women as inferior. So if a woman should make a particular comment or post something, you could see a male on the other hand, not reading the comment and looking at it from that ideology of a misogyny, is like, because he's having the ideology of a woman is inferior, and begin to comment based on that, and begin to react based on that. We have you remember a comment where someone said, I don't want to mention it, where he said that a woman belongs to the other room. you know there's a mindset, and it's cultural, and it cuts across different ethnic groups. It's cultural, whereby people have that psychological thought about women, and they see women as inferior, as having a kind of prejudice against them. So whenever they do certain things, and because they have that mindset already, it triggers their reaction, and sometimes it leads to bullying and harassment and abuse at the end of the day.
Thank you very much, Segun. Any other opinion on this?
Yeah, so what I can add to it, as you said before, you had asked the question if people actually do this online harassment deliberately. Yeah, and I would say yes, because as the Warif representative rightly said, and Shegun, it's actually more of an African thing. Like, I think, especially or mostly a Nigerian thing. Like, we have this as in this online harassment is more targeted at women. Women are like literally the victims, because a lady comments, a lady posts a picture, and people are making really really funny comments. On, I think 2 days ago, I saw a picture on Instagram, and a lady, it was an actress, she snapped with another actor, and the actor happens to be someone else's husband. But personally, I kind of felt they were maybe shooting a movie or something. But you needed to see the comments. Nobody directed any comments to the man. It was more of the lady. Why would you snap a picture with someone's husband? Oh, that's the reason why you're not married. If it's your husband, someone took a picture like this with, would you be happy? Like, you just see different comments, and it's more directed to the ladies. So I think another way we can also cope this kind of thing is to actually restrict the kind of you put restrictions to your social media handles. For my Instagram, it's not open. Like, before I accept anybody as a friend, I must know you personally, or I would have probably researched you. And that's still not a yardstick to feel that you might be reasonable or something. But once the person posts any unreasonable comments on my feed or my story or anything, I'm blocking you instantly. So some of these things, by the time we filter out such people, or you restrict the kind of people that make comments on your post or anything, I think it will be able to reduce this online harassment and stuff like that. And then for people that are victims of it, another way to also help them get through it is, first of all, they should love themselves. They should be comfortable with whatever they do, because as Shagun rightly said, the online space is a place for people to freely express themselves. So people should be able to express themselves freely in whatever they wear, whatever they speak, however they want to act, and not be worried about whether they owe people with explanations or not. So if I think we as Nigerians also, we should also try to learn to respect people's spaces, respect people's beliefs, because we all have different beliefs. We believe in different things. We act in different ways. So people should actually learn to respect people's spaces. However, even if the person is gay or if the person is a lesbian, it might not seem right to us, but it's not in our place to start hounding the person or questioning the person or making funny comments at the person as to why the person is the way the person is. It's actually the person's decision. So I think people should just respect it and move on.
Yes, and in addition, I would also like to add that one of the most important ways, in curbing online violence against women is by creating awareness. What if we have an initiative where we train boys and girls in secondary school? Why? Girls grow up to be women, boys grow up to be men. So carrying out, initiatives educating boys and girls on ways to spot grooming, because as sad as it is, we realize that a whole lot of teenagers now in 2023 have mobile phones, and a whole lot of things happen on those mobile phones that their parents are not even aware that these things are happening. They have slangs. Teenagers have slangs that they communicate with, that even you as a parent or a guardian will not even understand half of what these children are talking about. So it's important to sensitize both boys and girls. It's easier to catch these things when they are younger, because they grow up to be adults, obviously. And then it's easier for you to spot that, okay, my child is being groomed or my child is being harassed. As a parent, you know what to do. When we raise awareness, we talk to our children. As parents, you let your be relatable to your children, so it's easier to open up to you to say, oh, this is what is happening, and and all of that. So I just wanted to add that that's also another ways to curb these things, by starting, teaching our children or our nieces and nephews at a very young age the kind of things that happen online.
Yeah, you just spoke about awareness, creating awareness, and starting from the roots, like by talking to the younger ones, because these young ones become adults. They're already online. Even preteens, you talked about teenagers. Preteens have mobile phones. I mean, what are they doing with
Yes,
it? Internet enabled. So now, what other
yes.
ways can we create awareness and target this awareness?
There's a saying that goes, well, the entire populace is not online. We still have this little percentage of people that are not fully online. They're not internet savvy, but at some point they will. So it's important that we can create public awareness. We can start campaigns. We have laws, believe it or not, in Nigeria, we have existing laws and policies that guides data, that guides whatever we put online. We have bodies that regulate and commission all of these internet providers and all these social media apps. We have regulatory bodies in Nigeria that look at all these things. But a whole lot of people are not even aware of all of these bodies and all these laws. That's why it's easy for them to sit back and put funny comments, and they don't even know that there are repercussions for putting these things out. So we need to create more awareness on the existing laws, because I believe that creating stricter punishment will reduce these things. If, for example, you know that this is 24 years imprisonment for me, if I as much as say, see your big ass, or why is your ass looking so big, I would have a double thought before I carry my phone and say I want to put a nasty comment under somebody's picture. You think about it properly, because you know that the consequences are not a joke. So when we have these laws implemented, and when we have this, when we create awareness to let people know that, that these things are happening, I think it will help curb, and if possible, reduce all of this online bullying and harassment that is targeted at women and girls.
Okay, I would like to add to what my colleague has mentioned rightly. Also, I think a lot of NGOs should also come up and also do a lot of advocacy and enlightenment campaigns against harassment, online harassment against women. The NGOs can come together, civil society groups, and talk about it. Also, our role models, particularly people in the entertainment industry, because you also find out that even people in the entertainment industry are also corporates. You see actors, actresses, musicians, also harassing one another, also saying negative things to their colleagues and all that, and after a while they come back to apologize, to one another. And the ripple effect is that, okay, for instance, two A-list artists, harassing each other online, they have supporters, they have a huge fan base. You now realize that the fan base of each of these artists also begin to harass one another, and there's a lot of insults here and there, and even after the two A-list artists come together to say, oh, we are sorry for doing this, you realize that even the fan base are still insulting each other, and it keeps going on and on, and there's always the toxic level begins to increase and all that. So I think people in the entertainment industry, particularly because they have a lot of fan base, should also lead by example, and one, they should stop online abuse themselves, and also they can always speak against it, and as they speak against it, it can begin to cascade down to their fan base, and we can begin to have a bit of a change of attitude with time.
Okay, let's talk about grooming, right? Somebody mentioned that grooming is a form of abuse that involves manipulating someone. It happens to children, it happens to women until they are isolated, dependent, and more vulnerable to exploitation. And, these things start subtly. They don't even know that they're being harassed online because, of course, you're being friendly to them, you're making you just allow them to depend on you, and then after a while you take it offline. How do we even start to identify this before it escalates to something more terrible?
Okay, so my name is Jobefele Itunu. I'm a SustyViber. I would want to come from a different perspective in terms of the question that you raised, and because I've happened fortunately to live in two different nations and two different continents, Africa and also North America. Currently, I'm in North America, and I'm also heavily involved in volunteering for the kids zone that also includes teenagers. And I've also done this back when I was in Africa, Nigeria to be precise. And I can tell you that all of this thing has to start with the foundation. As a person, whatever becomes of you or what you become in future, it has to do with what you were taught from your background, either what you're saying, in terms of your environment or in terms of your family background or whatever historical background. You see a child, when a child is bullying, it's because that child has either been involved in bullying, either in schools or either at home, or either in the environment and in the community as a whole. So it has to start with, and this is what I've found out, that it has to start with the foundation. You have to start it from the foundation. So when you're creating awareness, your awareness should not be at the top, because that's what I see that is happening in Nigeria and in Africa, because we always do awareness from the top, but we don't look at the grassroots, because the parents are actually the ones that are in charge of lecturing or teaching their kids. It is what the parent tells them that it becomes of them. I'll give you an instance. Now, I'm relating to a kid in North America, and I'm relating to the same kid of the same age in Africa. And one is being taught sex education at the age of 7, while the other one is being taught not taught sex education. And if the other one was taught sex education, the other one was being told that if a person touches you, you become pregnant. That is fallacy, and that is wrong. Whereas in North America, if you tell a child of 7-year-olds, the child is going to say, "Dad, Mom, you're lying," because that's not true. That's not what my teacher taught me. It says that this is sex education. So we need to start involving the kids at a very young age. I know for myself and my generation, I'm talking for myself alone. The way my parents taught me about sex education is different from what I know today. I had to go out there and go learn. And one of the things that we say is that it is what they teach you, and then you want to explore. That is how teenagers are. That is how youth are. And that is how we become adults. So the awareness has to start with us creating those awareness from the foundation, lecturing the parent, teaching the parent what they need to tell their children. I mean, some parents will say, "Oh, you cannot teach my children how they should live their life." But however, that is actually the way to actually change the old narratives of what has happened. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Joby Fale. I've seen that
Okay, I
firsthand when somebody will tell you, a parent to tell the child that if you sit close to a man, you get pregnant, and the child sits close to a man, nothing happens. Then she goes further, and then she's a teenager who is pregnant. Yes, we don't tell ourselves, we don't tell our children the truth. We sugarcoat it too much that it becomes really dangerous for them in future. Thank you very much for that observation. Somebody wanted to speak.
Yes, you were asking about grooming and how you can identify it. And I've just been wondering because it's usually difficult to know that a child is being groomed or even know that this person is trying to groom my child, especially when these children don't have that sex education to understand what's going on. But in most cases, when according to what Joby said, you have a 7 year old that already has that understanding. So you can understand that kind of child who is able to speak up and report this adult. Because most times they are trusted people. They might be buying the child gift frequently and you're like, oh, uncle, whatever, I don't want to mention name bought me this, and it's so frequent. Fine, it's an act of love, but because of the kind of situation we find ourselves in, you want to wonder why this person is always warming up to your child, or even you want to wonder why this person is not comfortable. I mean, why your child is not comfortable around this person. And a lot of the times when young children are having this very aggressive behavior, it makes something is going on and they are unable to speak up. And as adults or even as parents, we can take time out to understand these things, have this difficult conversation, and we can understand and see this pattern of grooming in them.
Well spoken. Any other comment on this?
I
All
was
right.
going to add that another way that you can spot grooming in a child is when you notice for a preteen that already has a mobile device, you notice there's this particular app or there's just this particular person, there's this giggling, this excitement when he's chatting with this, quote and unquote, this classmate or this friend. That's why I said earlier that as parents, there's a whole lot to be done. It's difficult, but it's doable because we have parents that we're all trying to make ends meet and make our children and our lives as comfortable as possible. But we forget that our children are in our care. And it's until these things escalate, and then that time that you didn't have as a parent to monitor, to closely monitor, all of a sudden you have that time. You are not as busy. But we don't have to wait for that to happen. When you spot your child that is already exposed to using a mobile device, is on a particular app, speaks a particular slang or talks funny, or the moment you enter the room, they are hiding something, or they are throwing the devices, just to hide, then that's the point that you know that something is wrong somewhere, or something is not just adding up. So that's another way to spot that as a possibility that your child is being groomed as well. Or they just ask for funny, they just ask for funny amounts, or they all of a sudden they are buying one textbook twice, three times, or because they have to gather money to be somewhere, or to get someone something. These are signs that you know these are signs that we can look out for, to observe. And that, the speaker that earlier spoke, is also, yeah, another sign to look out for is when a child is very, is used to this particular uncle, or is used to this particular auntie, and because you feel that this uncle or this auntie is a close relative, there's nothing suspicious. But surprisingly, statistics have it that 90% of perpetrators are known to their abusers. So these are also signs to look out for in child grooming.
Okay. Someone spoke about laws, about a law concerning this earlier. And yes, there's a law, the Cybercrime Act 2015. It makes provision for all this. Then there's a section there for cyber stalking and cyberbullying. Yeah, everywhere you go, there's somebody there commenting on every post, in every platform, on every platform, and you're wondering what is happening. Person is cyber stalking you, and it prescribes punishments ranging from a fine of not less than 2 million naira or imprisonment for a term of not less than a year, or both the fine and the imprisonment of up to a term of not less than 10 years. So, and the money can go up to 25 million naira. So this is a thing, right? But I don't know. I've not seen anybody who has been imprisoned because of cyber stalking. Is it because we don't report, or what? Why is it? Is it that this law is not strong enough, or is not being enforced enough? What is it? What's the problem?
So
Okay.
personally, I think the law is not being enforced. It is not being enforced properly or something, because to be honest, not many people even know that such laws exist, right? So I think more awareness needs to be created, especially in the favor of women. The same way we celebrate International Women's Day, the same way we celebrate Mother's Day and everything. I think we should channel more energy on gender-based violence against women. I think creating that awareness will go a long way in the sense that when ladies are being harassed or anything, they are able to talk about it, and then they are able to get help if it means suing the perpetrators or anything. Because right now, to be honest, in Nigeria, online bullying and all those things, it really doesn't what's it called, the perpetrators really go scot-free, unless maybe you go bully some prominent, maybe like a Dangote's son or a Lumelu's daughter or something, and then the whole thing goes viral. But if it's an average person's daughter or something, like, nobody really hears about it, or the case just dies down. So I think if we get more awareness on this kind of things, a body is set up, or the body that has been set up is enforced more, and not just what's it called, it doesn't segregate maybe because of your social status or not. I think that will help a lot.
Okay.
Okay, so another thing I was thinking of is the fact that it's already being normalized. A lot of people just trivialize online gender-based violence because even when you have gender-based violence itself, only sexual violence is even taken serious. Nobody cares about emotional violence. Nobody cares about even some physical violence. They just care about the sexual and domestic violence where the man is beating the wife. So when you have that kind of problem, even within gender-based violence itself online, then it will be hard to want to take online GBV serious. But what people don't understand now is that the consequences are almost the same, especially when it comes to the mental well-being of the victim, which is very severe. It's an abstract thing that nobody can understand. And it's very disturbing that there's no more attention. The justice system is flawed, and Recently, I have this information that even the civil defense, they're also trying to also have that fiat so that they can take care of these issues, because the justice system is just not doing enough, and every agency is trying to make sure that they can play their part. And we're still trying to get there even when it comes to the offline aspect. And I think that's a gap that will stall the progress of even persecuting somebody that is committing stalking and all of that. That's what I think.
Yeah, in addition to what has been said earlier, I think one of the major problems in prosecuting somebody who has committed such offense, is our security operatives. Imagine somebody reporting at the police station and saying, "Oh, this person is stalking me. Oh, this person harassed me online." What response do you hear from? What do you get from the police officer that you are reporting to? And so, what's my business with that? The attitude is always wrong. Just the same way we are having issues with what is a spousal rape, where the husband rapes the wife. You take it to a police station, and the policeman is like, "Didn't you pay the dowry? Why will you come and report to your husband that he raped you?" You know, and at the end of the day, people don't get justice because you start from reporting to a police station before your lawyer takes it up and the person is being charged to court. And that's where prosecution begins. But when you take such matters to a police station close to you and say, okay, you are reporting somebody who has harassed you online, who is stalking you, who is sexually harassing you online and all that, what response do you get from these people? At the end of the day, you the complainant, you just get, in fact, you look so stupid at the end of the day that you just want to walk back to your house because sometimes you get no justice, no arrest, nothing is done.
All right, thank you, Shagun. Does any other person want to talk on this? So after this question, I'll open the floor for listeners to contribute. So all you have to do is to request, and we'll bring you on stage. You can share experiences. If you have any comments or you have any suggestions, you can share it. Does any other person want to comment on the last question? Yes, Olasho.
Hi, hello guys. So I actually requested to speak based on the issue of online bullying and cyber bullying that we were talking about. And my point is actually to support what Olusegun talked about. So in Nigeria, I believe the issue deals with the security operatives. That's where I see the issue because cyberbullying is taken more seriously in other places than in Nigeria. If you go to a police and tell them you feel someone is stalking you, the same thing Olusegun said, they won't take you serious. They don't even care about that. Hey bro, they don't even care about that. But in a saner climb, once you say something like that, the police get into action to try to see if your claims are true, if something is really happening. And once they know something is happening, then they try to take action to try to cope that. So Nigeria still has a very, very long way to go because we are talking about cyberbullying here. Physical bullying is still happening every day and they don't do anything about it. So it's now so awkward to even tell them to be concerned about cyberbullying. Like our security operatives, they do nothing. They are just inexistent, and it's very sad because things like this keep happening every time. You can threaten to kill someone online and nobody will do anything about it. So it's just a thing where I don't even know where the change would come from. Maybe it's from the government, maybe it's from the people, but it's a slippery slope. And I hope that Nigeria will get to that point where some of these things will be taken more seriously and actions can be taken when people are being bullied online or offline.
Thank you very much, Olasho.
Hi, hi. I
Okay,
just
yeah, go on.
Yes, I just quickly want to add this. So one of the things that I was part of a training that from for the Ontario government about online bullying and harassment. And one of the things it was a police officer that actually took that training. And one of the things he mentioned was that, when aside of the fact that when you're bullied, you report, which I know in this part of the world they take it seriously. In Nigeria, it's not the same. He also mentioned that we also need to take care of ourselves, and he actually expatiated more, and he said that if you at any point in time you experience online harassment, you as a person need to actually prioritize your mental health and your well-being by taking yourself off social media. And I can tell you that I have taken myself. So at the start of this year, I took myself off Facebook and link and Instagram. And I can tell you that over the last 3 months, I've had my sanity back. I've actually reduced the type of content I take in. I've actually reduced even the people that reaches out to me on social media, right? So at the end of the day, if nothing is changing because we know that the environment is not supporting us, the government is not doing anything, the police are not doing anything, that's they're supposed to do something. We could take ourselves up and off of it. I mean, if someone threatens us online, I could actually take myself off online. If you don't see me online, how do you threaten me? How do you don't know my address, so you cannot even get hold of me. But if we take ourselves off, maybe for the next 3-4 months, and just get yourself back, build your confidence again, have more of your self awareness, and then you can then sign in again, and then if you see that it's not the same, then you take it off completely. Because I feel that, and one of the things I ask myself is that how were our parents living their lives without social media? They kind of lived their life well, and they were more even closer than the way we are. So it's also something that we have to take cognizance of. We need to actually make those moves, take ourselves off social media, educate the younger ones, and tell them, look, social media is not everything. It's just a spiral. It keeps going, and everything will keep coming and going. And that's my own input. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be contributing. I'm Aisusa Ajayi. The last speaker said something. He said that in summary, you need to protect your space, right? When you see this becoming too toxic, social media, in particular Twitter, is coming too toxic, and it's affecting your mental health. It's appropriate to take probably time off from those channels, right, to protect your space. But however, putting it as a rule might hamper people's sense of freedom. People should be free to express themselves, right? I think it's a fundamental human right to express themselves. Protecting your space is cool, but I think people should also be free to express themselves. Not to be free to the extent of abusing or harassing someone online. That's not what I'm trying to say. So it all boils down to what I think one of the speakers said something, Mitchell said something, awareness. How many people are aware that there is a law that protects you from cyberbullying and cyber harassment or cyber abuse as it relates to women? Even the police, they are not even aware about it. A lot of acts, a lot of legislation go on every month. Let's say minimum of 10 or 15 legislation are being passed, right, in a month or in a year, that more than 15, if I'm not saying, minimum of 15 legislation that goes out. How many people are aware of this legislation? So there's cyberbullying. I got to even get a few takes from the moderator who said that it is punishable once it is being charged to court, taken to the police. The policemen, they don't even know about it. So I feel awareness about there's something like this. Someone is stalking you. Someone is saying that your bomb is becoming bigger and you're no longer safe with this person being in your space, stalking all the time, that you can do something about it. Awareness of it, making people aware of it, a campaign on it, NGO taking more responsibility, even a day as set aside to it, just like International Women's Day, could be in the month of this same March. Educating people, you know what, you can do this, you can do that. So it doesn't become a case of the affluent when they get harassed online that they can seek help, but a common man can know what it is and fight for his rights and create a safe space online for him, his or herself, right? And also, lastly, so in summary, I think is awareness. The more we get to get aware of it and start taking action by going to the police station, once they start getting 10, 15 cases that this person came online to call me that I'm looking like a pimp, or they're using the F word on me, or using the P, a prostitute, calling me a prostitute, is recurring. Once they start getting these cases often and often and often, it becomes something they are aware of, and they start creating a process around it on how to address it. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I will take one or two more listeners if you want to contribute to this. I saw you, Victoria. You said you wanted to talk, but then before we accepted you, you took that back. So all you have to do is to just indicate and we'll bring you to the stage. Okay. Is there any other person, any of the speakers, do you have anything to say about this? Let me accept this.
So this is Anthony Tekon Cole. And the two things I'd want us to also deliberate on. One, not just trolling on social media, but when we try to play down the achievements of females on online spaces, yeah, I think it's something that's growing, and I think it's something that we need to also talk about as a form of abuse and harassment. Also, when you see that, oh, there's this person who's like trying to just doing well, we're trying to downplay, and intentionally, like the idea is, oh, let's downplay her efforts, her achievements, her roles. It's a form of harassment. And then there's this herd thing or pack thing that's usually done in that regard. And secondly, I think we should also intentionally start in our offices, as at Tech on Code, at all the human manager, all at Africa Tech Radio, start pointing out those persons that spaces do this, and start scapegoating them and punishing them, right? Because these persons are not people that live outside the world. Sometimes we see these things, we share these things in our own groups, right? Among ourselves and our status. We need to start condemning them with the people we know around us. Yeah, and these are the 2 points I just wanted to make. Thank you.
Any comment on that?
Yeah, I would like to comment on that. I think it's a growing trend as well, where we play down the success of women, and I think the women phone needs to rise up and begin to support their own. It happens that when a woman is successful, many people begin to attribute it to a man somewhere. That it's always believed that, oh, this woman just bought a house, this woman just did this. There's an achievement, and you assume that, oh, it's someone that paid her bills, or somebody's sponsoring her, and that's why she has all those achievements. I think a lot of women need to begin to, all the women need to begin to support themselves. All this thing is called the crab mentality. We like to pull each other down, and we never support each other. We never, even try to learn from each other. Rather, we just try to pull each other down, and that's why it is called the crab mentality. If you put 10 crabs in a bucket, whether you cover the bucket or not, you realize that if you leave it for 24 hours, none of the crab will come out, because as each edit of the crab try to crawl outside the bucket, other crabs will pull it down, and none of the crabs will come out at the end of the day. And is this mentality that happens majorly in our society, whereby when you're successful or you achieve something, everybody tries to play it down and try to zero it and say, oh, you didn't do it all alone. It's not by your level of capacity. Rather, it's someone, particularly a male gender, that supported you to get where you are. So I think women need to speak out more. They need to begin to show us that without any man's help at all.
Thank you, Shegu, for that submission. But I would like to add the fact that I mean, it's nice that you've talked about women. Of course, we understand the women supporting women, and I like your analogy about the crab. And for me, I will also give you another one that says maybe that bucket is actually the patriarchy that somebody needs to come and kick so that all of the crab can just walk away. You see? And what I'm trying to say with that is that all of this still stems from that patriarchy. So the women that would say things like that are also the kind of people that appeals to patriarchy, that appeals to the misogynistic comment. So it all comes from that gender construct of men are superior and men should focus on their career and the women should focus on their home, building their home, having children and all of that. So when you see women who come out of this norm and breaking that boundaries, they are seen as, oh, it's not ordinary. It has to be supported by patriarchy as well. So of course, women, we can also support each other better. But I would also like to put it out that men can also try not to be intimidated by this kind of women who have lived outside the box and not instigating the women that they've been able to put in that bucket that you've analyzed to not bring them down. Thank you.
Okay, that is really deep. Is there any other comments? Are there any other comments from listeners?
So I have a quick comment, and it might also be a question. So I belong. I've been in places where women are actually very regarded in terms of their successes, and at the same time, when you flip the coin around, I've been in situations where women have been bad bosses. So I think that and I've had conversations with even my some of my colleagues or my senior colleagues where they say, having a woman as a boss is terrible, right? And I've experienced that myself, and I've had good bosses. I report to a director now, and she's a woman. Fantastic. So I have to say that, I'll give an analogy, and this is my school of thought. When you have, 12 oranges in a basket, and you pick the first one, the second one, the third one, up to the sixth one, you don't assume, even if it's 60% bad oranges, you don't assume that all the oranges are bad. You could pick another orange, and then you see that they are all good oranges. So it has to do with mindset, and it has to do with perspective. We need to change our perspective and see people first, even both men and women, see people first as human before we then consider them as, gender, whether male or female. Until we get to that point, until we create that awareness where we are able to educate people and tell us that we are all human at the end of the day, that is when all of this would stop. Because from my experience and from people's experience, people can talk from their experience as well, right? I've had terrible bosses that are women that have made me gotten fired. So, and I've had good ones, like I said. So it just has to do with perspective. And for me, I celebrate women. I was on LinkedIn about few days ago, and I saw a woman who was promoted as a partner in KPMG Canada, and I congratulated her and I added her up, and I said that it's good to learn from great people like yourself, and she was happy. She said, "Oh wow." Do you get? So we have to, even ourselves personally, because we are educated, we know about this. We talked about creating awareness. If we don't make a move, if we don't make the first step, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. We have to start doing that ourselves. We have to start reaching out to successful women on social media. Since we are on social media platform, congratulate them, wish them all the best, and that's it. That's my own take.
Okay, so if one person starts, other people will follow. Since people like
Abs-
emulating, do something great for people to emulate. Thank you. Any last words before we end this space?
Okay, I was going to add that in contribution to all said and done, as all of the speakers have all pointed out, that we all have a role to play, in ensuring that online gender-based violence is a thing of the past. So I would just like to add that what if we help survivors? We don't call them victims, we call them survivors. So we attend to survivors of rape and sexual assault. So if you know anyone that has been abused or raped, you can come to our center. We're located at 6 Totten Street, Yaba. And if you know the survivor cannot come to the center, we have a 24-hour confidential toll-free helpline to support survivors that have been assaulted or raped. And our toll-free number is 0800 921 0009. I'll take that again. It's 0800 921 0009. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Warif, for doing that. I think every other person should, who can do something about this, should share as well. Organizations and individuals. Is there anything that you do specifically that can help this cause?
Okay, you can also talk to us, Superior Performance Global Network. We are a psychological guidance and counseling organization whereby we provide free psychological services ranging from mental health issues, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, and so on and so forth. And it's basically free. So you can talk to me, I'm the director there, and you can talk to me directly, Olusegun Oduduwa, and you can call me on 070-864-84790. It is absolutely free. We offer free services just to contribute our own quota to this society.
Please call your number again.
070-864-84790.
Okay. So from today's space, which is on female online harassment, that is online gender-based harassment, cyberbullying, cyber stalking. Way forward, based on what has been said so far, is that first of all, people should educate parents, educate kids. When the parents is always telling the girl, "I am this thing you're doing, you will not find a husband," and the men, the boys are hearing it. They start saying it. They take it online, and it becomes an online gender-based violence, and it starts from the home most times. And also educate the kids. Stop shielding them from things you think is going to hurt them. Kids know more than adults think. So let them know, let them see the signs of people who would like to harass them, whether on or offline. Also, women should help women. Women should help women. Men should help women. Men should not be intimidated by women's success. You hear some people tell you that because you have a lot of money, that you cannot be a good wife or something, and they'll bring these comments online. And the woman who has worked hard all through many years is not asking herself if she should have worked that hard. That should not even be a question. That should not be a thought that should go through the minds of this woman. And people should be careful, be mindful of whatever they say to other people, because it can hurt. It can be, in fact, the law already states this. The law says, the punishment for. We should go and read the law of Nigerian law, because a Nigerian constitution, everything that you see foreigners enjoy, we have some of those provisions in Nigeria as well. So you see people taking restraining order out of, on people who stalk them or harass them continuously. We can do that too. So just be conversant with the law. All right. And also from what we have said today, one of the speakers said that we should change our perspective. We should see people as human first and not just look at gender. And also, Tony said that we should call out our own people. Somebody who's always harassing people online. Call that person out. Tell the person this thing you're doing is not good. Tell the person, don't look the other way, because everyone is looking the other way. When it comes to your turn, they will look the other way as well. And I think that's that. Those are way forward that we can work on as we leave. Also, I'd like us to tweet about this Twitter space and something that we have learned from it. If you can't remember, I just gave us the rundown on that. Okay, advise your colleagues, advise your family, your friends. We are adults now. We can talk to our parents. These are the things that you say to people. They might not like it. It sounds offensive. So thank you very much to our partners. Thank you very much to our speakers for joining us today, and those who have stuck with us to listen to us. Thank you. Thank you, Tekonko. Thank you, Warif, Nigeria. Thank you, Lagos SDG. Thank you very much, Olusegun Oduduwa. Omotoyosi. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. And Shegun. Yes, I said that. Joby Fele. Am I saying that correctly? Yes. You have said some insightful things. So thank you as well. And to every other person who has joined us.
Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
very much. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.